Okay.
And then
Okay.
if you turn your video off, you get better reception. I have a dog that barks in the background, so I'm always turning off my mic. Okay, so now we have Carla here. We're going to open the meeting from closed session. I request public comment on closed session item now.
No, we did that before we went into closed session. So now we would just
Okay.
report any reportable action, and I can
Okay,
report
I
that
got
there's
confused
no
by the
reportable
list.
action.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So the meeting is now open in session. Do we have any announcements from closed session?
We do not, no reportable action. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any agenda adjustments that the board would like to make?
I wanted to take some things off consent, just to have a quick question period. Is that okay? Which one? I wanted 7.1 and 7.2.
Okay, we'll move those to the end of the meeting.
Thank you.
And now we will move to public comment. Is there anyone here that would like to request public comment on items not on the agenda?
Is there anybody in the public? Have you
Yes,
asked
there
them?
is. She's just moving her way up there.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. I was just looking, usually items with 7 point something is in the business, so consent in the past has been number 4, so I was just checking that. Thank you. My name is Becky Steinbrunner. I want to let you know that I did attend last night the Santa Cruz City Water Commission meeting. I like to go to those because I always learn a lot. And I was a little distressed to hear they had a report about their financial assistance programs to customers who are late in paying their bills, and how that's all going to and is working. It's just beginning. I was amazed to hear that their late fees, and this is a combination for water, sewer, and garbage, but their late fees total about $86,000 a month. And some of it goes to giving assistance to those, but they really are working at trying to get people to sign up. That made me wonder about the district's late fee amounts, and I know that you have some assistance for people who are in financial arrears, but I think it merits, especially given the economic times and what we are looking at, given recent County Board of Supervisor meeting reports, it's the tsunami of debt and things that is coming, as the county officers put it, is going to really put a squeeze on people more. And already I think people are struggling. So I would request that your district have on the agenda a report of the number of customers and the dollar amount of those late fees, and how is your arrearage assistance program going. I also want to ask that your board consider writing a letter of opposition to the battery energy storage projects that are planned for the Aptos area. There's one, and follow in the footsteps of Central Water District. The plume that would go over when this project catches on fire, and they are known to catch on fire with thermal runaway and explosions, merits caution. So I will send you the letter that Central Water District did send to the County Board of Supervisors opposing this project in Aptos. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience wish to speak on something not on the agenda? Okay, so we will move on to consent items. Is there public comment on the consent agenda? Seeing none, I will ask for a motion.
I'll move approval of the 7.3 and 7.4.
Dr. LaHue has moved for approval,
A second?
and a second by Ms. Balboni. We need to do this as a roll call.
Director Balboni,
Aye.
Vice President LaHue,
Yes.
Director Christensen,
Yes.
Director Jaffe is absent, and President Lather.
Yes. So we will move on to reports. Oh, I already asked. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay, is there a report from General Counsel?
No report this evening. Thank you.
Okay, so then we'll move on to business items. First item is approve unconditional will serve letter for Cabrillo College / UCSC student housing project at 2800 Soquel Drive, Aptos.
Thank you.
Oh, there you are.
I'm here.
Thank you, Taj.
Welcome. So this project has not changed since the board considered the conditional will serve letter in April. And it is moving forward into the construction phase this fall. And Dr. Matt Weinstein is here, president of Cabrillo, if there's any questions that the board has for him. But I will summarize the unconditional will serve request for the board. The 686 bed housing development, it's a partnership, I think, between UCSC and Cabrillo, will be served from a 4-inch meter for the domestic use, and then also an 8-inch fire service for fire protection, sprinklers, et cetera. And then they do identify a need for a 1-inch landscape meter. So your current action tonight would incorporate all 3 of those services. But at a later date, the community college district will be presenting a variance for irrigating the landscaping around this development with their existing wells, which they currently, all the irrigation on the south campus is irrigated from their existing, they have 3 existing wells. That's not what's before the board tonight. So tonight, the request is to approve the 4-inch domestic and the 1-inch landscape and the units as described. The memo includes the water capacity fee for the 4-inch domestic and the 1-inch irrigation, and that's $560,179. And then we also would include a little bit of a deposit for oversight of the installation of those services. Fortunately, it's going to be a very short infrastructure right off of Cabrillo College Drive, so we anticipate this to be a very quick installation and minimal staff time. There is if you have questions about the projected water use, the development will displace existing soccer fields, multi-purpose fields on the southern part of the campus, and that it was estimated to be irrigated from the wells at about 12 acre feet a year, and the new demand is listed in the memo that could range between 20 and 37 acre feet before the irrigation displacement. That's the end of my report.
That total included the landscape.
Correct. The 20 to 37 acre feet per year would include the new landscaping around the building, but it doesn't remove the 12 acre feet. That would be the new demand. If the existing lands or the new landscaping were to be irrigated by the district, it would be roughly 20 to 37 acre feet of the new demand. But then on the aquifer, you would take off about 12. That makes sense?
Is there public comment on this item? Okay. Carla Becky Steinbruner is moving up to the podium. Can you see? Yes.
Yes.
It's hard.
Hello, off there and away. Hello, thank you. My name is Becky Steinbruner, and I verified with Dr. Wettstein outside before the meeting that the monitoring wells that the district has on this property will be protected, and so that is all in place. What I wondered when I read this was if there is a possibility for the district to somehow give a credit to the college for if the water used to irrigate the athletic fields is perhaps from another source. I'm just thinking they're going to remove the need for 12 acre feet from their own well pulling. That, in essence, helps protect the aquifer, doesn't it? So if they use the district's water instead of their own well, that's offering additional protection to the aquifer in that area. And I'd like to see some sort of incentive or a reward, essentially, for doing so. The district is providing free water for irrigation to the Twin Lakes Baptist Church athletic field across the way, 3 acre feet a year, as part of the deal for the injection well. It's using, I believe, potable water now, but the plan is to use the recycled water. So is it possible to make some kind of a deal similarly with Cabrillo College to give them a credit and perhaps use the recycled water for irrigating?
Okay, your time is off.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments? Okay, we'll move it back. I'll close the public part of this and move it back to the directors for discussion and questions.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Director Balboni,
Yes.
Vice President Liu,
Yes.
Director Christensen,
Yes.
Director Jaffe is absent, and President Lather.
Yes. So now we're on to 9.2. We're going to receive a presentation from the City of Santa Cruz Water Supply Augmentation Implementation Plan.
Thank you, President Lather. I'll go ahead and introduce this next item as Heidi is getting situated. As you all know, the City of Santa Cruz has been conducting their water supply augmentation implementation plan for some time. We recently received a presentation about a year ago in October of 2024 and felt it was timely as well as requested to continue to bring this information at a board meeting. So to follow up on the recent presentation by Alyssa Abbey, where we brought forth the joint regional optimization study update, we're following that presentation with Heidi tonight. So welcome, Heidi.
Thank you. Thanks, Melanie. Is this just regular? Is it on? Just have to get
You have to
really
put
close.
your mouth close and then you would
Okay, gotcha. Wonderful. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for having me. When I was thinking about what to talk about tonight, I did look back at last year's presentation, and it was very complicated, and it was very technical, and that's not what I'm going to be talking about tonight.
I forgot to do a formal introduction in case there are people that are watching This is Heidi Luckenbach, the Water Director of the City of Santa Cruz. Thank you.
And so, thank you. So I thought what would be helpful, and I'm hoping that it is I will talk about the supply alternatives that we are looking at, continue to look at. But I wanted to not dive into the details of either the optimization study or what we call the WASAP, the Water Supply Augmentation Implementation Plan, but instead provide a little bit of background and context of the city. My goal is that it will maybe provide that context when we talk about the supply alternatives and how we are pursuing them and our timing. It might help us understand what our headwinds are. And I think we all have our headwinds, and surface water agencies just have different ones, I think, from groundwater agencies. So we're going to talk a little bit about it. For perspective, I have 20 slides, not too many, and many, many pictures. How do I do this? There we go. Doesn't roll. Okay, so I'm going to talk about Santa Cruz water system and our operations. Some recent accomplishments, so we don't let those go by without some recognition. The water supply reliability projects, and then focus on our implementation schedule. I think that'll be of maybe most interest to folks. I cannot be qualified to do this. Okay, so first of all, the City of Santa Cruz water service area and our sources. 100% surface water half the year with a complement of about 4% groundwater in the summertime. You'll notice the dates of each of these assets. The oldest one dates back to the late 1800s, 1884. And the percentage of water that we get from each of these sources. And I guess I point this out for a couple reasons. One is our assets are remote, very remote. There's many of them, and they're quite old. And we do a lot of operational gymnastics to meet demand as we pick and choose from these different resources. Next couple of slides are really just a set of pictures to get a look at what we do manage in our watershed. So the upper left is one of my favorite pictures. It's Loch Lomond Reservoir, and it's when we were doing the inlet outlet replacement project. That was a $100 million project to replace the intake. That's all we did, was replace the intake. It took about 5 years to complete, and what we're seeing here is a very effective silt curtain that allowed us to isolate construction within the reservoir, but also, of course, added time and expense to that project. And then the other three are three of our diversions. On the upper right is Felton Diversion, where we have an inflatable dam that we operate, and we can only take water when the dam is up. On the lower right is our Laguna intake, about 8 miles up the coast. And then the lower left is the San Lorenzo River intake at Tate. It's over by the tannery. Some of our infrastructure assets on the upper left. This is the ground that we crossed in the 1800s to get surface water from our 4 surface water diversions up the coast. We have about 18 miles of between 14 and 22-inch pipeline that goes from the coast pump station in town up the coast. And I would say that half of it isn't in this condition, but half of it is in this type of location where it's very remote and very challenging to access to do any kind of replacement or repair. The bottom left is our concrete tanks project that's ongoing at the treatment plant. That's a $40 million project, replacing 3 tanks. And as you may have heard, that's at the Graham Hill Water Treatment Plant. We were replacing tanks that were installed originally in the 1960s. $40 million project there, and then the remainder of the upgrades to that treatment plant are still in design. We hope to go into construction in a year and a half, and the construction estimate for that is $120 million. The upper right is our Belts 12 well system, and then the lower right is, again, the San Lorenzo River intake, just to kind of demonstrate the vulnerabilities that we have to changing climate and flooding and infrastructure vulnerability. I'm going to talk a little bit about our anadromous salmonid habitat conservation plan. I'm never going to say that again. I'm just going to call it the ASHCP. We have 3 HCPs for the city. We have the ASHCP, we have a Ohlone tiger beetle, and we have a operation and maintenance HCP that we operate under because we are protecting pond turtles, coho salmon, and steelhead trout. On the upper left is challenging to see, but you can see some seining activities that our water resources group does. And on the lower left-hand corner, it is a picture of, what looks like a storm-laden river, but it's actually a project that we installed to create habitat for our coho salmon and steelhead trout. So we call it our large woody debris project, where that material is actually anchored into the stream to be protective of those species. And then finally, just kind of as background, we do have a big education and recreation program that we support to help folks understand the watershed that we protect and we get our water resources from, largely focused on grade school and junior high school kids, but also open to the public. And we have organized tours for adults as well. A big kind of rule book, if you will, on how we operate our water system is in our water rights. So all of our flowing sources, we have San Lorenzo River, we have Newell Creek, the North Coast sources, which includes Laguna, Lydell, Majors, and Reggiardo. They all have water rights, permits, licenses attached to them. They're from about the 1800s. The most recent ones are from the 1950s, I think. And what those do is they direct how much water we can take, when we can take it, the rate that we can take it, and where we can use it. They're very constraining, or they were until just recently. And what they don't do is provide flexibility, so they don't allow us to transfer outside of our service area. And they aren't protective of species. There was not back in that 1900s, early 1900s, and even the 1970s, a recognition that we had to constrain the amount of water that was taken so that we could maintain the habitat. I'm going to come back to that, but I did want to just talk about some recent accomplishments. Again, I don't think we really talk enough about how much effort we put into projects, and then when we're done, we just kind of move on to the next one. Of course, the optimization study that allowed us to focus on projects and management actions in the Mid-County Basin. The city then took that body of work and included it in our WASAP, and to that we added largely water transfers with Scotts Valley Water District and ASR up in that basin, and then there's some consideration for desalination and DPR, direct potable reuse, as we know. And then the next two are pretty significant for the city, the approval of the ASHCP. This body of work was 20 years in the making. I've seen some photos that used where we show our children when the project started, and then our children when the project ended, and I could have used that because I didn't have a child when the project started, and now my child's in college. So it took about 21 years to complete that body of work. And then, of course, the Santa Cruz water rights. Both these pieces went to our city council last week, and were approved. And I'm going to actually just jump into what that means for us. So the intricacies of operating a surface water system, I've been using this example of this three-legged stool because these three pieces really have to function together. First is the ASHCP, the second being the water rights project, and then finally water supply reliability, or projects that support the city's reliability. So HCP, again, we have three, and an HCP is a requirement of our permits to operate our system. And in the case of, again, the ASHCP, it's being protective of all life stages of coho salmon and steelhead trout, which we have in our flowing sources. And the net effect of the ASHCP is that the city has to leave more water in our streams, all of them, to be protective of these species, which has the effect of having less water for our customers. And I have one kind of crazy chart to share with you. So maybe can I use this? I just wanted to show the complexity of how we operate our system. So this is water year 2025. And the rules of engagement for the city under the ASHCP is that the first of each month, the first day of each month, dictates the water year type for that entire month. So you'll see in February, we're at dry. And then we dip into dry again in April, and then we barely skip out of dry. That was 2025. And the impact of that is that in critically dry years, we're not allowed to do water transfers with our water rights, and we're not allowed to do ASR with our water rights. So every month we make a decision based on the volume of water in the San Lorenzo River, what we can do with our flowing sources. So this notion, we have whiplash weather and atmospheric rivers coming through and capture that water and put it in the ground. It doesn't always work that way because it actually has to seep into the ground and then flow and be registered in order for us to make beneficial use for it in terms of a water supply project. It's all based on the cumulative flows in the San Lorenzo River. Yep. So we did the ASHCP prescribes, there's a set of rules for each of our flowing sources. And so the first of each month tells us which category we're in, and then we have a whole nother set of rules that says, okay, if the San Lorenzo River, it means you can do this much extraction, same with Laguna, same with Lydell, and on and on. And so what we said to the State Water Board is that we can do that. We can meet the flow requirements of the ASHCP, but we also need to have modifications to our water rights so that we can have more flexibility in terms of how we're using that water. So the water rights modifications have been adopted, and they allow for a couple things. They allow for us to move water out of our system so we can do water transfers with Soquel Creek and Scotts Valley Water District all the way up through the Santa Margarita groundwater basin. And we can use that water to augment those two basins. So it is adding flexibility. It's not adding more extractions. It's not adding more frequency. It's just adding some end uses, and end uses primarily in terms of providing water to agencies and providing water to the basins. And then the third leg of the stool, of course, is supply reliability projects. Because the equation has to be we're leaving water in the streams for the fish. We have water rights to change how we can use our water, and now we have to implement projects in order to make ourselves whole as well as the basin whole. So what are the projects? We all know that they are ASR in both the Mid-County and the Santa Margarita groundwater basin. Water transfers with Soquel Creek and Scotts Valley Water Districts. And then we still have direct potable reuse and seawater desalination on the table. ASR in the Mid-County Basin, we are converting Belts 12 to an ASR well currently, and we should be done in about 12 months. We're in design at Belts 8 in Live Oak and should be done in 24 months. And then we do have on in our capital program conversion of Belts 9 and Belts 10. And these numbers down here did come out of the optimization study in terms of the yield that we can get from either a 4-well ASR program, so 1.9 million gallons per day, or a 6-well ASR program at 3.7 million gallons per day. And maybe being mindful that the city's gap is about, the worst condition is about 5.5 million gallons per day. Water transfers, we are nearing completion of an intertie between the city and Scotts Valley Water District. We should be done in March. The initial yield for that project is 0.4 MGD, so it's quite small. And in the coming months, we're going to be looking at expansion to up to 2 million gallons per day. And a 2 million gallon per day project would include ASR wells in that service area, in that basin. And then with your agency, intertie with Soquel Creek Water District, the optimization study demonstrated that we could obviously transfer 1.4 MGD, and I say obviously because we have an existing intertie with that capacity. And with additional wells and modifications to the intertie and distribution improvements on the city side, we could increase the capacity to 5.5 million gallons per day. Just going to fly by these just to demonstrate that we are still looking at them. And with a local recycled water project, meaning a DPR project, it is source limited to about 2.3 million gallons per day for potable water for the city. And then, of course, desalination still on the table is source unlimited. I wanted to focus mostly on this, and this is nearly my final slide. It is draft. And it's our new roadmap. I think the last time we were here, we talked in terms of portfolios, and we kind of teased apart those portfolios because we are just implementing in a very incremental way each of the alternatives, ASR, interties. So just to highlight a few things. So March, like I said, March in 2026, the intertie with Scotts Valley Water District will be completed, and we're doing some groundwater modeling currently with M&A to understand how close to that 2 MGD can we get with additional wells. We're also doing groundwater modeling with M&A in the Mid-County Basin to further optimize the ASR in combination with Pure Soquel to maximize any water transfers that we would be able to use from the district. And then I've noted completion of ASR at Belts 12, ongoing basin performance. The question was asked recently about how will we know if ASR is working the way it's supposed to be working, and I think we all know that it's going to require ongoing monitoring. Modeling is great, and we are implementing our projects because of the modeling that we have, but it's the projects in the ground that verifies the injection and extraction rates, and if we're meeting our sustainability goals, that's going to kind of help guide us get to advance from conversion of 1 well to 2 wells to 3 wells to 4 wells. And then there is this date out here, December, end of December 2028. Regional collaboration with your agency, and should say, maybe it does actually, Scotts Valley Water District as well, because negotiating an agreement between the city and our partnering agencies is going to be necessary, of course, in order to meet any transfer goals for the city and the districts. You know, and I'm happy to provide this. I almost did put it in front of you, but that's kind of all I have. I think the only other comment that I would make is questions have come up about how do you know if you're successful? And I think it's testing. It's for the city, it's testing ASR, it's implementing ASR in an incremental way and doing the measurements at all of our monitoring points to see where we are in meeting basin sustainability goals and then water supply objectives. That's kind of one question that we're hearing. Another one is is all of the construction in Santa Cruz causing the need for supply augmentation? And some of us remember that even when we were pursuing a desalination project, the answer to that question was no. It's the variable weather patterns that continues to cause the need for supply augmentation for the city of Santa Cruz. The other question, I think it came up from Director Jaffe, had to do with climate change. And as you know, the Mid-County Groundwater Sustainability Agency used one climate change scenario, the catalog climate. The city uses another one, which we call R1270, because we're not very creative. And the Sustainability Agency in the Santa Margarita uses a third. And it makes for very confusing analyses. And the city is trying to straddle those three different projections because each one of them has a big impact on how the models incorporate our hydrology, which is very sensitive to different climate scenarios. I always say this, I know we're going to be wrong. None of them are going to be right, but it just requires that as we implement our projects, we just need to continue to look at performance. Are we meeting performance on the injection side, extraction side? Are we meeting the frequency of injection and extraction? Reflecting back on that chart I showed that tells us what we can do and can't do on the first of each month. So we're collecting the data to better understand how many months of a year are we actually injecting and transferring water and navigating towards what climate and weather future, really. So I think it's all about implementation and monitoring and ongoing collaboration and conversations to make sure that we restore the basin and meet all of our supply objectives. And then my last further questions on here?
Don't have my microphone on, Dr. LaHue. I almost said Jaffe, sorry.
So I just want to clarify. So as I recall, either from optimization study or various things in the past, or maybe when I looked at those climate models that Rosemary showed me years ago, if you have like a bad set of 5 years, your ASR by itself even couldn't do it without some supplemental supply. That's still what you're working on? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
And so just to recap, the ASR in the Mid-County Basin, we had the 4 and the 6 wells. Even the 6 at 3.7 million gallons per day doesn't close the gap.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yeah. But we do continue to look at ASR in Santa Margarita. And then, of course, that's why we're continuing the conversations for water transfers.
Okay, so now that the presentation is done, is there any public comment on this item? You have up to 2 minutes. And
Thank you, Becky Steinbruner. I appreciate seeing this again tonight. It's a very good presentation, and congratulations on getting that HCP put through. It's excellent. I want to point out that the pre-1914 water rights still leave available to use the North Coast water for water transfers with Soquel Creek Water District. So I hope that you will remember that. It is a source of good water that can be used. I want to commend the city of Santa Cruz for the good projects you're doing to be able to use more water from the San Lorenzo River when it is available. the Graham Hill treatment project and the dam intake. It's all very good, and it will allow more flexibility, I think, in using water when it is very abundant. What I remember is a presentation by Cameron Tanna that in 2018, that if ASR and Pure Water Soquel project operate concurrently, the model showed water would actually rise to the surface. So I am curious to see how those models progress and are adjusted. I also want to commend the city for doing a lot of your projects with in-house work, and that is a real cost saving to the people. I would like to know how the ASR wells at Belts 12 might affect the district's O'Neill well. How is the depth being coordinated? The O'Neill well has had trouble with ammonia. And will that play at all together with what is happening at the district's O'Neill Ranch well? Thank you again for the good report and your good work.
I take it there's no other public comments since there's no other members of the public out there. So we will close public comment and move to questions from the board members. Does anybody have anything? You already asked yours, okay. Jennifer? No? Okay,
I have something.
I thought so. I was making time for you.
Oh, thank you. I just, as a general question, and that is with all of these different projects or theoretically being planned, including our project, the Pure Water Soquel, I was just wondering if there has been a conversation between Scotts Valley, Santa Cruz, in addition, because, for example, Margarita, the Santa Margarita Basin isn't part of our MGA, to make sure that we have some compatibility in the case of a drought to be, we have a water source, we will have a water source, and that could be probably a great use right away during a time of a severe drought. I just wanted to see whether there are any conversations going on to make sure we're building with that compatibility in mind.
If I understand, it almost seems like a two-part question, maybe.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Just one question, though.
The city is a member of the Santa Margarita Groundwater Agency. We're not a paying member, but we're a member because we use water that originates in that basin. We have participated in the development of that sustainability plan, their GSP, and ongoing conversations around developing projects that meet the sustainability goals in that basin. The basin isn't in critical overdraft, so the urgency isn't there. We are working most closely with Scotts Valley Water District because we have the intertie with them. And as I mentioned, the intertie will produce or allow for 0.4 million gallons per day up to 2 million gallons per day. And that's the max. And that could include ASR wells. So all of that, I think, to say the compatibility between the city and Scotts Valley Water District is being established. I think I also heard a question about if there's a significant drought, is there consideration or compatibility with a Pure Water Soquel project and potentially moving that water more broadly? I couldn't speak to that question. I think it's a good question.
It's a theoretical question,
Yeah.
I admit, but I think that there's going to be probably a need as we go along in the future to integrate all of our, make sure we're keeping in touch with all the agencies, keeping in touch to move water around when needed, I guess is what it.
Yeah, I very much.
And
Yeah, can I just say one other thing, which is I do think the collaboration is there. The staff for the Santa Margarita Basin meet on a regular basis to make sure that those projects are moving forward. And now that we're all connected, or we'll all be connected like physically, and that the water rights will allow the surface water aspect of that and those resources to be used more broadly and flexibly, I think we're in a really good position. I think if anything, it's bringing Soquel Creek into that conversation when that time is right.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's always good to kind of look back in history. I really appreciated that background in terms of your water sources as well as for ours, because, you know, it's not that long ago when even within our own systems, they were isolated and separate. And over time, we've been able to connect our own systems from sub-area 1 to sub-area 4. You know, 20 years ago, we couldn't do that. And now we can. And now all the agencies are starting that next wave of the future of looking at interties and expanding. We are very much unlike a lot of California, where they have imported water that goes from one part of the state to the other. We're very isolated here, and that is unique. That with that comes different challenges and different solutions. So I'm pretty positive being able to be like, I think like Heidi was saying, you know, these kinds of things take decades, take generations, take kids from babies to adults. I think that there's still more to do, but I think this is a step to looking at how we're collaborating within interagencies as well as groundwater sustainability agencies.
Okay, so this was an informational item, so there's no recommended action, and we can move on to the next item.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. You did a great job.
Yeah, thanks.
So we're at item 9.3, authorize execution of the Aqua JPIA Commitment to Excellence Program Acceptance Letter.
Yeah, I'm pleased to present this item. Recently, we had an Aqua JPIA representative come out and tour our facility, walk our site with our O&M supervisor, Sam Spillman, as well as our HR manager, David Terrazas. And through that visit, this program came up, which is called the Aqua JPIA Commitment to Excellence Program. What that program does is it really helps to outreach to agencies that are Aqua JPIA members to help them reduce their frequency and severity of liability, workers' compensation, and property losses. So tonight, this acceptance letter to join this program needs to be brought to the board and authorized at the executive board level. We'll be implementing programs and activities with staff, and it also allows us to be eligible for a grant program. So this is our you know, we obviously prioritize minimization of risk, and we want to formalize it with this program and then start to develop and utilize the grant program. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't bring it up.
Okay, so let's see. I guess I, at this point, will request public comment on this item. None? Okay, so then we will move on to close the public comment part of this and open the floor to the directors for any questions or discussion.
Sounds great to me. So I think it's excellent. Keep working
Yeah.
towards that. I'll make a motion to authorize the letter.
Execution of the Aqua JPIA Commitment to Excellent Program.
I'll
letter.
second. I
you.
think it's a great idea.
Yeah. So we have a motion and second.
Director Balboni?
Yes.
Vice President LaHue?
Yes.
Director Christensen?
Yes.
Director Jaffe is absent, and President Lather.
Yes. Okay, so at this point, our next meeting date is Tuesday, October 21st.
We're gonna
President Lather,
We have
we need to
the,
go back to 7.
Oh, that's right. Forgot about that.
Consent items. Jennifer had a question.
Thank you. So let's go to the two consent items that Jennifer had questions on. I was ready to go.
7.1.
Okay, just a minute, well, then we'll go. Yeah, I just wanted to have a couple quick questions. So on 7.1, the booster meter panel failed because of the power outage. And I'm just curious, did we make a claim to PG&E for that?
Yes, we are working towards submitting a claim.
Oh, great, okay. And then I also was wondering if there are other booster panels that are at risk. Is there a vulnerability in like surge protection?
Not at this stage of the electrical supply. We do have surge suppression and pump savers inside the building, so nothing inside our building got damaged. This is more of a, like the PG&E meter panel.
Okay.
So it's the first piece of equipment that we get, that gets PG&E power. So we really don't have the option to do anything with it. It's spec'd per PG&E.
Okay.
But it's a good question that inside the pump station, we do have other safeguards.
Okay, and then I think I understand that for the past month, we've been running on like a generator. Is that true?
That's correct. Not continuously, but
Oh, okay.
as needed to fill the tank, the Money Toyon tank.
Okay, so minimally. I was just wondering what the fuel cost for that could be.
That is not something I have information for you tonight.
Okay, but that would be included in the claim to PG&E.
Correct.
Okay,
It would.
great. Thank you. That's all the questions I had on that. Moving on to 7.2, I was just
Director
wondering.
Balboni, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I apologize. I'd recommend the board approve 7.1 if you're comfortable, and then we can move to 7.2.
Okay, I approve to move to approve 7.1.
I think I heard that right. Do we have public comment first? Josh?
Excuse me. Yes, we should
Okay.
request public
I
comment.
thought we were going to do them both, so
Thank you, Becky Steinbruner. Thank you for pulling this item, Director Balboni. This is my neighborhood, and I was not aware that the control panel at the lower Monty Toyon facility had failed. What about the effects of the power outage on the upper Monty Toyon panel? It's the same area, and I'm just wondering if that was affected. I know that's a substantial piece of equipment there. And if it was not affected, then why? What was the difference between the two panels other than age? But something that should be looked at to provide safeguards whenever possible. Thank you.
okay, now we can move it back to,
So move approval of that item.
yes,
Move approval of 7.1.
thank you.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and second.
Director Balboni,
Yes.
Vice President LeHue,
Yes.
Director Christensen,
Yes.
Director Jaffe is absent, and President Lather.
Yes. So now we will move to 7.2, and the floor is yours.
Okay, just two quick questions. I'm just wondering, why is phase one limited to the 70 linear feet rather than the full 300 linear feet?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a bandwidth issue of staff availability. This current 70 feet was kind of a design in the field, and so to go the full distance, we would like to have a little more time to prep for that, and we have a lot of other work going on right now. So this is just getting us off of the main street of Mesa Drive down into a dead-end road that gets the project, that much closer to being completed. As I stated in the memo, it was, something that's been on the books for a while. And last year it was in the budget. And then this year we took it off based on our workload. And then a new house was built. And so we made it work just to get to that point. And we really would like to, move on to the other projects that we have going on. Mainly we have a Moosehead Moosehead Drive project that is just began this week. And it's going to last through February. So our resources are focused on that. And this gets us that much closer to completing the rest of this project, but just not at this time.
Okay, thanks for that, Taj. I was also just wondering, though, does that mean that because it would be split into 2 phases, that you'd have to open the street twice?
No,
Okay,
no, we would just pick up where we left off
okay.
and then
Yeah.
extend it. And the lion's share of the effort will be completed. And then there's, I think, only about 3 homes that remain,
Mhm.
but it is a little bit further down the road. And we're just trying to juggle with short staff right now.
So, public.
Do we have any, okay, so we can move to a motion.
So I'll move to approve 7.2.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Director Balboni,
Yes.
Vice President LaHue,
Yes.
Director Christensen,
Yes.
Director Jaffe is absent, and President Lather.
Yes. So we have, now I can get to announcing the date of the next meeting, which is Tuesday, October 21st. And do I have authorization to adjourn the meeting? Yes, okay.